Hello and welcome to Cloud Perceptor. In this video, I'm going to show you different scenarios by doing a hands-on lab for copying and sharing AMIs and snapshots. Let's look at a few examples. So let's say I'm having an EC2 instance which is having an EBS volume attached to it. So what I do is I create an EBS snapshot, then I will create an Amazon machine image. Out of that, I'm going to restore this, right? I'm going to restore this AMI, like create an Amazon EC2 instance using this AMI. Okay, so this will be available in region. Okay, so it's very easy to restore it in the availability zone that belongs to this region. Okay, and the EBS snapshots are stored in Amazon S3, which is a kind of a regional service. Okay, so let's look at the other scenario where I have the same um, EC2 instance running over here. Okay, and it's having an EBS volume attached to it. And I'm taking multiple snapshots. It's kind of an incremental snapshots, you can see. So uh, what I can do is I can store, like, these EBS snapshots are gonna be stored in Amazon EC this S3. Okay, and simple storage service, so I can restore this in any of the other availability zone. Okay, let's look at different scenarios. So I'm going to do a hands-on lab for all the 10 scenarios. Okay, so let's look at the first one, which is kind of, I have an Amazon EBS volume which is encrypted, and I'm gonna take an EBS snapshot. Okay, so here are some of the important points. So encryption state will be retained. So if you're going to take uh, an encrypted volume snapshot out of that, then encryption state will be retained and it will be available in the same region. It will be always available. Okay. So let's do a hands-on session. I'll log into my Amazon console and I'll show you the steps. So I'm logged into my Amazon EC2 console now. Okay. I will head over to the volumes. I already have one volume. Okay, but we create an encrypted volume over here. For this demo, I'm just going to create 1 GB of volume. Availability zone I will use as AP South 1A. Okay, and I'm going to encrypt this volume. Okay, so I'll choose a default KMS key over here. Okay, so I'll just name it as encrypted volume. Okay, and I'll quickly create it. So we have this encrypted volume. If you head over to this volume, okay, you can see that the encryption, it is showing as encrypted. Okay, all right. So the next step is, let's create a snapshot out of it. Okay, encrypted snapshot. As you can see, when I'm creating a snapshot out of an encrypted volume, I don't have any option to disable the encryption. Okay, so encryption state is always by default enabled. Okay, you cannot remove it. So I'll quickly create a snapshot out of it. Okay, I'll head over to the snapshot section over here. Okay, so this is an encrypted snapshot. Okay, you can even see the status as encrypted. So key points to remember when you are creating a snapshot out of an encrypted volume, it will be always encrypted. So that is it for the scenario one. I will head over now to the scenario two. Okay, so in this case, as you can see, my EBS snapshot, right? It is uh, so in this example, I'm going to show you how you can encrypt a snapshot. Okay, so this is an unencrypted snapshot. So I'm going to create an encrypted snapshot out of it using copy feature. Okay, let me head back over to the AWS Management Console and show you this hands-on lab. So I have an unencrypted volume. Okay, I've already created that, not encrypted, right? So I'll create a snapshot out of it. Okay, I'll quickly create it under snapshots. As you can see, we have an unencrypted snapshot, 1 GB. It's not encrypted. Okay. So let's say I have a scenario where I want to encrypt this snapshot. So what I'll do is I'll select my snapshot, which is not encrypted. I'll quickly click on actions. Under that, there is a copy snapshot. Click on that. So it's gonna create a copy of your snapshot where you will be able to encrypt it. So as you can see, we have this encryption option enabled now. You can quickly click on it and select your KMS key over here, and also you can select your destination region. So it's not that when you copy a snapshot, it's not limited to that particular region where your original snapshot is residing. You can copy it to any of the destination region. So this is kind of the benefit that it provides. I'll keep the same region because I don't want to again go back, but just for showing purpose, you can select any of these regions. Okay. All right. So that's it. We'll quickly click on copy snapshot, and I have my copy over here, which is now encrypted. Okay. So that's it for the scenario number 2. We'll head over now to scenario number 3. So here in scenario number 3, we have an unencrypted EBS snapshot and we want to create an encrypted EBS volume out of it. Okay. So I'll head over to AWS Management Console and I'll show you the steps. So we have already created an unencrypted snapshot in our earlier example. Okay, earlier scenario number 2. So we'll be reusing that snapshot. As you can see, the encryption state is not encrypted. So this case is we want to create an encrypted volume out of it. Okay. So click on actions, click on create volume from snapshot. You can also change the size of the volume. We are going to keep the same, as well as the availability zone. Okay, so you cannot change the region over here. You can change just the availability zone in which your snapshot resides. So we have this option available now. Okay, this encrypt this volume. We'll be selecting the KMS key and head over to create volume. Click on volumes now, and the latest one, let's look at the date time. We have this one as the latest, which is now encrypted. Okay, so this is how you can create encrypted volume out of an unencrypted snapshot. This was scenario number 3. Now I will head over to scenario number 4. So here we have an EBS snapshot which is not encrypted, and we are creating an Amazon machine image. Okay, so this won't be encrypted. Okay, so cannot be encrypted. Of course, this AMI can be shared with other AWS accounts. It can also be shared publicly. So I'll head over to the AWS Management Console and I'll show you this scenario 4 in a hands-on lab. So I have already an unencrypted snapshot. I'm going to reuse that. It's not encrypted. Under actions, I will click on create image from snapshot. Okay. So my AMI, I will just name it a simple image from unencrypted. I'll use everything as same. This is boot mode, default. As you can see, you are now allowed to change size, okay, and the volume type, but the encryption option is disabled. Okay, so you cannot uh, encrypt this volume now, since you are creating an image out of an unencrypted volume, unencrypted snapshot. You are not allowed to encrypt the volume in that particular AMI. So that is that is what I wanted to show you as a part of scenario number 4. Now we'll look into scenario number 5. So in this scenario, we have an EBS snapshot, okay, which is encrypted, and then we are using copy function to create an EBS snapshot out of it. So while copying, you are allowed to change the encryption key. You can also change the regions. So I'll head over to the AWS Management Console and I'll show you the steps involved in creating this. So I have an encrypted snapshot. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm using a copy snapshot feature. So as you can see, we are now allowed to change the regions. Okay. Apart from that, I can also change the KMS key. So this is what the scenario 5 is. So remember, when you are copying an encrypted snapshot, you can change the regions and the KMS key. Let's head over to the next scenario, which is scenario number 6. So in scenario number 6, we have an EBS snapshot which is encrypted, and I am creating an Amazon machine image which also contains this encrypted EBS volume. Okay, so remember key points. It can be shared with other accounts only if custom key is selected. Okay, you have custom KMS key. It cannot be shared publicly. Okay, so an encrypted EMI you won't be able to share it publicly. So I'll show you the steps in Management Console. So here I have an encrypted snapshot. Under actions, I'll create an image from this snapshot. Okay, I'll name it something like my AMI. Okay, my AMI. Keep everything as default and head over to this uh, block device mapping. As you can see, the encrypt volume option is disabled. I quickly create an image out of it. Under AMIs, we have this my AMI now showing up over here. What I'll quickly do is I'll try to share it with my other account. Okay, as you can see, right, you are getting an error now which says fail to modify image attribute. Snapshots that are encrypted with AWS Managed CMK cannot be shared. Specify another snapshot. Okay, so remember key point, if you have a managed CMK, you cannot share a particular AMI to any other account. Okay, so that is the key point. And also do remember that this particular AMI, right, that you are going to build, you cannot share it publicly because it's tied up with AWS Managed CMK. I'll show you that example as well. So let me remove this account. Okay, I'll make it as public. Okay, click on save. So as you can see, right, even when we are trying to make it as public, it says encrypted snapshots cannot be shared publicly. Specify under snapshot. So two key points to remember. when you are creating an encrypted EMI from an encrypted snapshot, it can be shared with other accounts with custom key only, and it cannot be shared publicly. Okay, so now we will head back over to scenario number 7. In this scenario, we have encrypted machine image. Okay, and we are going to copy and create another AMI. Okay, so when we are copying and creating another EMI, we can change the encryption key. We can also change the region. I'll show you hands-on lab. So, so this is the encrypted AMI which we created earlier in the earlier example. Okay, what I'll do is I'll click on copy AMI from actions. As you can see, we are able to select the region over here. Along with that, we can also choose the KMS key. So key points to remember: you can change the encryption key, you can also change the region. Okay, now let's look at scenario number 8. So under this scenario number 8, we have an encrypted Amazon machine image, and we are copying and creating an EC2 instance out of it. So you are allowed to change the encryption key. You can also change the availability zone. Let's look at the hands-on session for this. So this my AMI is the encrypted AMI what we had. Okay. So as you can see, it's encrypted. Okay. What we are going to do is we are going to launch an instance from this AMI. So it's gonna show you different options over here. We'll just quickly check the okay, so we'll click on advanced, and if you see, right, you can change the encryption key over here. Okay, you can possibly select another KMS key if you are having. I only have the default one, so it's showing default at the moment. Along with that, you can also change the availability zone over here. So it also allows you to change the availability zone from over here as well. Okay, so key points to remember: when you are uh, creating an EC2 instance out of an encrypted AMI, you are allowed to change the encryption key. Along with, you can also change the availability zone. Now we are going to look at the scenario number 9, where we are having an unencrypted Amazon machine image. We are copying and creating an EC2 instance. Okay, so here you are allowed to change the encryption state. Along with that, you can also change the AZ. So in the previous example, you were able to change the encryption key. Okay, but not the state. Here you are allowed to change the encryption state and the AZ. So let's look at in the hands-on session. So I have this unencrypted image over here. Okay, look at it's not encrypted. What I'm going to do is I'll create an EC2 instance out of it. Okay, so I'll head over to the volumes, advanced. As you can see, you are now allowed to change the encryption state as well. Okay, you can make it as encrypted, not encrypted. You can also select the KMS key. Let's look at the previous one. Okay, just to differentiate. This is the encrypted AMI. Okay, I'm gonna launch an EC2 instance out of it. We'll head over to the volume section. As you can see, you are not allowed to change the encryption state. Okay, you are allowed only to change the encryption key. So that is the difference. Okay, so a key point to remember when you are using an unencrypted AMI. Okay, and when you're trying to create an EC2 instance out of it, you are only allowed to change the, like, you can of course change the encryption state as well as the KMS key. See, since the AMI is unencrypted, right? Of course, you can set the KMS key and the encryption state. But in the other case, right, where you have the encrypted AMI and you are creating an encryption, like EC2 instance out of it, you are not allowed to change the encryption state. You are only allowed to change the KMS key. So that is the difference. We'll head over to the last scenario, scenario number 10. So here it is, the scenario number 10, where we have an encrypted EBS snapshot and I'm creating an EBS volume out of it, which is encrypted. Okay, so it can be encrypted, it can change availability zone. Okay, so let's look at this example in the hands-on session. So I'm having an encrypted snapshot. Okay, what I'm trying to do now is to create a volume from the snapshot. Okay, so as you can see, right, you cannot change the encryption state. You are only allowed to change the KMS key. So it has to be like, because it can be encrypted, and you are allowed to change the availability zone. Okay, so key points to remember for this scenario: you can not change the encryption state but change the KMS key, but also you are allowed to change the availability zone. Okay, so these are the 10 important scenarios for this session. Okay, so do like and subscribe my channel. See you again in the next video.